Don't you just love the smell of a new cam in the morning? Yes, today it's all about EVA1, the little sister of the VariCam and Panasonic's brand new Cinecam. It has dual ISO and it has a 5.7K sensor that is downsampled to a beautiful 4K. And more about that later, and some image tests, of course, for sure. But I just got that camera today, and for me it's a learning process, as it will be for you. And this is the first part of my journey to getting to know the EVA. And I will not talk too much about the functions, how to work with her, before I learn it myself. So this is the first part. Many more will come. And if you want to take part in that journey and to learn how to use EVA, you can subscribe my channel or become a member of the Facebook AU-EVA1 Facebook group. I will put a link in the description. Today we're gonna unbox her, see what's in the box, and then we gonna set it up and have a first look at the menus, get a general impression of how the menus work. Then, of course, we will make a couple of pictures and see how we can rig EVA, which is quite interesting because it doesn't come with an EVF, and we're going to look into EVF options because you need some extra power and we need to get a bit creative with this, and so on. So, if you're interested, stick around. Let's go.
What's in the box? What's in the fucking box?
So, when you pick up EVA in the store, it comes in a box that looks a little bit like this, a bit boring. But whatever, let's cut this open and excitement starts. And yeah, it's another quite boring box. Okay, let's get that out. I'm not very good at this. Come on, come. And broke the box. No. Never mind, we're not in here for the box, we're in here for EVA. So let's cut that open too. And now, this should be the camera, huh? And yeah, that looks like this. That looks like accessories. Take that off, find some manuals. And under this is actually a bag containing EVA. Put it to the side, and a couple of cables, and I think that is about it. Let's speed this up and see what's in this box. We find a manual and screws, a strap, AC cables, a battery, AC adapter, a charger, a micro holder, an LCD monitor, and of course the beautiful EVA. And this is actually where the LCD connector goes in, and we have two mount options, one on the left side and one on the right side to put the LCD. Let's do that. Let's just screw it in. It's not as easy as it looks, but after a while you will figure it out. And you can pop up the LCD. That's a bit tricky, like this up, and then you can fold it out, and then it reveals the connector. You cannot use this to power any other than the proprietary monitor. You will break it, so don't try. Let's fix the cable so it's not in the way. So the LCD itself has a pop-up sun hood like this. And let's go further by using the media. You have two slots for continuous and for dual recording. You have to put the card in so that the etiquette is on the left-hand side. And that's all for now. During firmware updates, basically the card has to be in slot 1. Just pop the battery in. It doesn't come charged. There's a bit charge on it, but not much, so you have to do that. This is where the DC goes in. The next one is the SDI and the time code. You only have one SDI, and it's a 6G one. There you got headphones. And in this one, you'll find the USB and some service. The next HDMI slot I will show you later. So to get shooting ready, of course, we will need to put on a lens. This is a lovely Super 35 sensor, 5.7K. And my weapon of choice is the Sigma 18-35, and I have a 3D printed gear on that, so we can use a follow focus later. Let me screw that in. There we go. What is left to do? Power it on. The first thing that happens after you power EVA up is you have to put in the time and date, and I think you can do that on your own. But let's go a bit into the menus and see how the setup works. The LCD has a couple of options. You can mirror, and you can rotate the screen by a little switch, which should come in handy. The menus are quite well done. You get around quite quickly, and with a little bit of getting used to it, you will find everything you need quite quickly. Problem a bit with the monitor is it's not very responsive, and my fingers are just too thick for it. So I think you will be better off using the wheels on the hand grip on the side to navigate. Like I'm doing right here. You can actually just use the scroll screen instead of your finger, doing it like this. And if you push the wheel, you actually choose something. Like here I do with the ISO. You can use the side wheel on the front just as well. The aperture can be changed over the iris wheel or on the hand grip. And if you press it, you go in the auto mode. Here we can see how to operate the ND filters. So you can just go up and down. And here you can see how the internal ND wheel is spinning on press. And here we see the focus assist, which comes in very handy. You can put this out over SDI for use on a EVF. Here we are in the menu, and I will switch off all the menu and overlays on the HDMI out, so we can attach an external recorder. And there's our last input. We can put the HDMI in here, and we get a wonderful image on our Shogun Inferno. I got the Inferno, so I have the SDI option as well for later raw recording in an update. I would love to talk a little bit about the nice looking app, remote app, but I'm unable to because nowhere in Hamburg there was this little plugin that you need, the Wi-Fi module available. And unfortunately, this doesn't have any image like you would be used to from the GH5 app. It will not happen according to Panasonic reps, unfortunately. Later, more about this. Question is, how can we actually rig EVA? Of course, we can put her on a gimbal. You can strap it quite down. You can remove all the accessories, and you can then have a very light setup that you can place on a gimbal. When we're talking about gimbal, we are usually not talking about a one-handed gimbal, but I saw people that tried to balance successfully a C200 on a crane too. So it should work with the EVA just as well, even with a relatively heavy lens like the Sigma 18-35. But as I don't have a gimbal like that here, we will say like, okay, how do we use this with an external recorder? And how do we use this as a shoulder rig? That will include options for EVF, which is not a part of this cam. And this cam doesn't have a dedicated power out to power a EVF. So we have to be a bit creative about that. So this is how EVA looks if you mount display on it, this time a recorder. It's the Shogun von Atomos, like you saw before. You can see that EVA has two cold shoe mounts, one here and one there. So you can actually put the weight of the monitor in a way that EVA is quite nicely balanced. This is, I guess, the easiest setup for run and gun if you want to use an external recorder. Quite handy. But if you want to use an EVF and stuff like that, you're not going to be happy with that. And as Shogun and the EVF will use a lot of power, there are other options, and let's go into that. So this is a rig from Lamparta. It's not cheap, but it's not going to break the bank either. So I think it's China made, but it's still got good quality. And we have the base, we have the battery plate here for V-Log batteries, which I have on right now, and we have power supply here, and we have a magic arm here where we could mount a display on if we want so, some hand grips, and of course a follow focus. This one is from Edelkrone, which I'm not too sure about, but this is something for another day and age. So let's put Eva on it. There she is, and actually we could use her just like that, but I think you're more interested in how we get the EVF on it and the other power options. So let's do that. I would say we start with the external recorder, because if we're going out with a heavy rig like this and an extra battery, I suppose you want to record externally and have a large monitor to actually see what you're doing. So let's try that. So here it is with a Shogun, and it is in reach, so you can actually use it with a touchscreen. It has all the nice features, focus assist, it has record, ProRes HQ, you can punch in to have a better view in your focus. It has very nice features, and I prefer the Atomos to the Odyssey, because the Shogun has actually this brilliant HDR display that I said before. You can actually see what you're shooting for the first time. You see the whole dynamic range of the camera, and it is ultra bright. So with 1500 nits, you can see it in normal daylight situations. If you have a day where the sun is really beating down on you, I would suggest use a sun hood, which comes with it. So not even that is a huge problem, and it's open on the bottom so you can still use it. But for those people who really want to use an EVF, there are options too. Of course, the Sakutus, etc. But I own a sight finder, and we're going to throw that on now, even though it might be now a bit overkill using 3 different displays. But let's see. So now I added the EVF. It's the Small Stream 501 with the sight finder on the side, and I will just open that you can see that there's actually a monitor you can switch out and in. Well, it's a bit overkill. It's got 3 options to look at the footage that you're shooting, but in this setup, it's actually you're still able to move with it, and I think that's great. And you have to power the camera with it too. The plate from the Lamparta does have a 12-volt out that the EVA will take, but none of my cables fit. I have to figure it out. Which will be the right cable to fit in to the EVA power in. So give me a hint which that might be. I can learn something from you maybe just as well. So let's take that on the shoulder and see how that works. And turn it on and everything. Get out here, and then it goes. And there she goes. It's a little bit wobbly, but still quite okay. And I can use this. And there, just have to adjust it a bit to my body. Yeah, and that works pretty well. I have to say, can still use the screen. The screen is much better than the viewfinder. I can't stress how much I really like the Shogun Inferno. It's really beautiful. It has a beautiful image, and the waveforms are really good. It has the D-squeezes and everything you might want, false color modes. And what I really love about it is, of course, that you have LUT support for your own LUTs that you can upload to it, and the phenomenal HDR mode, which I try here, where you can actually see the dynamic range that is in the camera. And in this case, if we have an external monitor, of course, we could leave the EVA monitor just to the home screen, so you can always have a good view on the settings. I'm trying to look through the EVF right now, and that works quite well. Yeah, well, this is one way to rig the EVA on the shoulder. It's a bit huge for such a small cam. I will probably go more like run and gun style, just on the hand. And I prefer to shoot down here because I'm quite tall, and when I have a shoulder rig like this, I usually film down on the people, which makes them look small in the film. So I'm more like a, maybe it's because I come from a DSLR age, I'm more like a wrist shooter. So that was about that, and I'm looking forward to see how you will rig your EVA. Usually I don't present any footage before I know what a camera can do and what it can do, but as I don't want to send you home without any footage, I decided to just put in a little test that I made with an antique projector I have here, with a little Bolex. And I want to do something that looks a bit like the Mindhunter intro, which I really, really love. And this is just a test for that intro, so my next project will probably be exactly that. I will set up a nice intro scene that looks like Mindhunter. So one thing, when I graded this, you might think, oh, this is heavily graded or something. Actually, it's not graded at all. It's just ACES workflow for Panasonic Vericams. This will work on the EVA just as well because it has the exact same color science. And this is also glowy golden because, of course, my color temperature is set for the LED lights, and this has tungsten, but of course this is completely done on purpose to give it this yellow look that you maybe know from Mindhunter, which is a bit more greener, but I like this golden look. And this is quite dark, you might say, and don't be fooled, it's all still there. I mean, you can push it quite a bit, and yes, there's a bit of grain in there, but it's fine. You could apply noise reduction if you want to, but I'm amazed in just what amount of detail is in the shadows, and this is where it just leaves something like the GH5 in the dust. To just be honest, it's marvelous. And, well, especially in shots like this is quite amazing how much dynamic range actually is in these shots. It's just way more than the GH5 has to offer. It has a beautiful way of grading. These are ProRes, of course. So, if you want to go on this journey and learn more about EVA1, please become a member of the Facebook group Panasonic AU-EVA1. I'll put the link in the description. And of course you can just subscribe to my channel, and then we'll keep you up to date whenever I will spit something new out. We do lots more stuff than just camera tests. We do grading projects, advertising, how to produce a commercial, etc. Just, well, if you're interested, I appreciate any support from you. See you next time, Nikki from the Media Vision. See ya.